One of the most glaring examples of British intelligence-sponsored psychological warfare against the United States is the bizarre ideology called variously British Israelism or Christian identity. Victims of this foreign-sponsored ideological virus can be found to hold key positions in the Patriot movement and other movements which may be committed to the destruction of the American Republic. They have been linked, ladies and gentlemen, to the terrorist bombing of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City in 1995. There are many links to that bombing at a city in eastern Oklahoma called Elohim City, which is a Christian identity British Israelist community. And more broadly, a significant portion of what today claims to be Christianity in American society is consciously or unconsciously based on religious belief structures designed by the British colonial office to undermine Christianity in general and the American Republican form of government in specific. British Israelism is a syncretic organization which in its simplest variant claims that the Anglo-Saxon Celtic race is the true 10 lost tribes of Israel, that the British sovereign is descended from King David, and that as such, an all-encompassing British Empire is biblically prophesied to rule the world in the few final days before Jesus Christ touches down on the Mount of Olives and ends human history. There are many variations on this theme. Some versions say that the horrors described in the book of Revelations have begun, and others believe that the tribulations are yet to come. Almost all, even the militant anti-Semites, look to the Mideast, to Jerusalem, and yearn for the final rebuilding of Solomon's temple, which will be the incontrovertible sign that the end of the world is nigh. These people are also rabid Zionists, ladies and gentlemen. The roots of British Israelism are obscure, but some trace it to the late Elizabethan period in England, a time which coincided with the consolidation of the Church of England and the beginnings of Britain's maritime empire, as well as the creation of a full-time secret intelligence service. One person who is reputed to have contributed to the early development of the British Israel ideology is John Dee, a fellow of Trinity College and advisor to Queen Elizabeth, who openly practiced black magic and prophecy. He was among the first to talk of England as an empire. Also, Sir Francis Drake, Elizabeth's favorite pirate, was notoriously partial to describing the fledgling empire of England as Israel and the New Jerusalem. The beginning of the 17th century saw the rise of hundreds of cults across Europe. The majority of these, including what would later be known as British Israelism, can be traced to the efforts of Venice's top psychological warfare officer, Paolo Sarpi. Venetian strategic interests demanded that Europe be kept controlled and divided, and that the scientific breakthroughs of the Renaissance and the implication of those breakthroughs for the growth of human mental freedom had to be destroyed. You see, Venice had long learned that manipulation of religion is one of the most potent methods to control societies. Venetian agents had a direct hand in the English King Henry VIII's break with Rome, and in the creation of the theocratic Church of England, or the Anglican Church. Venice, you see, was crucial to the transformation of Martin Luther's ill-formed movement into a Europe-wide Protestant schism, and Venice was equally pivotal in shaping the Vatican's countermeasures, thus ensuring decades of religious warfare. Martin Luther, whether you realize it or not, used the seal of the Rose and Cross on his correspondence. He was a member of the secret mystery religion, known as the Rosicrucian. As a skilled intelligence operator, Sarpi did not simply create one ideological package, but several. Then, whichever one took hold could be further sponsored. Some cult variants were designed to appeal to scientists and had little to say about religion. Others were openly religious. Some flavored for Catholics, some for Protestants, and yet others were meant to draw in people who were confused about religion in general. Sarpi relied heavily on the ideas originally developed by Gnosticism, Gnosticism was a cult of obscure Eastern origin which held that the universe, including the deity itself, was absolutely divided into spirit and the filthy degeneration of spirit called matter. A key belief of the Gnostics was that transcendence from the world of matter was dependent on secret knowledge. Gnosis means knowledge, which was attainable only by an elite of the sect who had achieved purity and had become born again out of the evil flesh. In the 11th and 12th centuries, Europe had seen large-scale Gnostic heresies, notably the Cathari, or pure ones, and their violent suppression. This Gnostic secret knowledge ideology is what Sarpi and his two famous collaborators, Galileo. This took many forms, including a few which contributed directly, ladies and gentlemen, to British Israelism. Francis Bacon, whom many classify as the founder of modern scientific method, explicitly saw science as nothing more than forcibly wresting from nature the secrets that God, a Gnostic deity containing good as well as evil, has maliciously refused to reveal. Bacon's text, The New Atlantis, which suggested that England could become the site of the new King Solomon's Temple, became the founding document of the British scientific espionage operation known as the Royal Society and the source of what is known as this country as America's secret destiny. It was here that Bacon coined the ominous phrase, quote, knowledge is power, end quote. This original Royal Society held alchemy and ghost hunting on the same scientific level as astronomy and chemistry. Another cult spun out of the Sarpi network, which contributes to many forms of British Israel as well as to Freemasonry and Theosophy, is Rosicrucianism. Martin Luther was a member of that organization. Here again, the earliest origins are obscure and include unverifiable reference to the crusading Knights Templar, officially the Poor Knights of the Temple of Solomon, and to various satanic cults. According to Masonic legend, a small group of Knights Templar escaped the Inquisition for the order's practice of the Eastern Baphomet cult, whose initiation rite involved spitting on the visage of Christ, to fight with King David Bruce at the Battle of Bannockburn in 1314, thereby engendering the origins of British Freemasonry and of Rosicrucianism. Within higher order Freemasonry, the degree of Rose Cross is known as the degree of revenge against the Pope and the French King. Thus the Jacobinites of the Duc d'Orleans, Philip Eaglite, during the French Revolution were known to be followers of Neo-Templarism. Much of the religious history of 17th century England can be characterized as various factions' attempts to decipher the secrets of the Bible and revive the, quote, old-time religion, end quote. Indeed, much of the original theology of such modern groups as the Quakers, the Pietists, and the Unitarians derives from these debates. And if anybody ever got close, it's the Quakers. This is a major reason why the Cromwellian Revolution of the mid-century saw intense public debates over biblical texts that might be used to proclaim that English law was in conformity with the laws of the Israelites and allowed the Roundheads to claim that London was the new Jerusalem. Oliver Cromwell's offer to let the Jews return to England after centuries of exile, ladies and gentlemen, was not humanitarian. And Oliver Cromwell did not all of a sudden come up with some great love for Jews. John Milton's intense study of the Kabbalah and other Jewish esoteric texts was to the same end. And the Kabbalah, ladies and gentlemen, has become the basic tenet of the secret religion of all of the so-called secret fraternal orders and secret societies of the world. Even after the monarchy was restored in 1660, the debate merely intensified. Typical is Sir Isaac Newton, who was devoted to the search for Prisca Theologica, a Freemason in the tradition of Sir Elias Ashmole. Newton studied alchemy and corresponded with John Locke on the subject. Like Archbishop James Ussher at the beginning of the century, Newton claimed to have divined the secret chronology of the Bible. In his book, The Chronology of Ancient Kingdoms, Newton presented a scheme for the rebuilding of Solomon's Temple. Many of Newton's last years were spent writing notes for a book of prophecy based on the revelation of St. John, in which he described the ultimate destruction of the Antichrist, by which he meant the Roman Pope. By Newton's time, England had not only taken over the oligarchy's imperial mantle from Venice, it had also become the cult center of the world.
October didn't start on 7th of October, it started in 1948 on the 15th of May. It started by the Nakba for the Palestinians. This happened when they want to cover up their killings, their genocide, with more genocide, with more killing. Zionism is basically built up on mistrusting God. Don't believe in God, don't trust God. From the other side, Judaism is built up on trusting in God. The state of Israel is a rebellion against God, and they will not succeed. They will come to an end. A person
Aufnehmen die Fenner, en aufnemen die Fenner. En aufnemen die Fenner of die ganze Messe? Ja. Die Fenner, die Fenner. Sind die Fenner, die Fenner, die Fenner.
Palestinian terrorists.
I've had the distinction and pleasure of upsetting a considerable part of an Orthodox Jewish congregation by reference to this subject. They rushed immediately to the rabbi, and then trouble broke.